your co-program director, ministers and deputy ministers who are here with us, Premier of Gauteng, Premier David Makura, Nkosikazi Mhlawuli, the Chair of the Traditional Leaders Council, Professor Musoma, Chair of the Cultural and Religious Council, our nation's artists, whom today we celebrate, and all of you fellow South Africans. Heritage Day is always a good cause to celebrate. It is a day when we appreciate the rich, diverse, and common cultural heritage that makes us proudly South African. It is an opportunity for us to be who we are in our attires, in our beautiful attires, looking as beautiful and handsome as all of you are today. Ansebahle. Nam food. It is an opportunity to invite friends, to relax, to be with family over a home-cooked traditional meal, and also an opportunity to play traditional music and to pay tribute to those who have come before us. Just as we celebrate where we have come from, we know that culture continues to evolve, to adapt, and it also continues to change. Just as our traditional dress has been adapted into modern fashion and contemporary music is infused with cultural strains, many South Africans today are wearing their very favorite colors and are gathering around a braai as we speak now. No matter our race, our ethnicity, our language or religion, there is no right or wrong way to observe Heritage Day. What matters most is that we are taking the time to celebrate our South Africanness. Days such as this also remind us that unity in diversity is indeed our greatest strength as a nation. At a time when so many parts of the world are being torn apart by division, by ethnicity, by nationalism, by language, by religion, we can, as South Africans, continue to hold our heads high and say we are united in our diversity. Yes, we may have our differences, and there are many, but when it comes down to it, we are South Africans first and foremost. The rest follows later. We respect one another. Reatompana, siahlonipana, reatonipana, und respektier mekaar. We know that cultural pride and expression is never an excuse for chauvinism, for ideas of ethnic superiority, for tribalism, for thinking that one group is better than another. We also know that there is no room for xenophobia or for misogyny. This year, we are using Heritage Month to celebrate South African indigenous music. And in particular, we are using today and indeed this month to immerse ourselves in the knowledge, in the memory of one of the most outstanding legends of our music in South Africa, Ubaba Solomon Linda. We chose this theme to acknowledge the role that indigenous music, especially isicathamiya, played in the lives of our people during the dark days of apartheid and colonialism. Indigenous music didn't just entertain and comfort the dispossessed black majority, it also mobilized and united our people in the townships, in their various halls, in the marketplaces, in the beer halls, and open fields where groups like the Evening Birds, led by Solomon Linda, where they performed classics, outstanding musical pieces like Imbube, where places of great importance where political conversations happened about the state of our country. And because of its ability to bring people together, to unite them and to encourage discussion, our indigenous music helped to shape our present reality of a free and democratic society. Our artists use song and dance, as we heard, and as we saw Unkosikazi Mhlawuli demonstrating here. They use song and dance to transmit messages, most effectively in ways that conventional channels could not. We therefore have a moral responsibility to preserve this music and to protect those who created it, but also those who continue to create this music. Because we don't want the tragedy that befell Solomon Linda, to visit them. Though he composed and recorded many songs, Imbube was his best known one, which, as you know, was also featured in The Lion King. South Africa was still a British colony when difficult circumstances made him sell the rights to the song to a record company. It is said that it was sold just for 10 shillings. In today's currency, that would be $1 US. And many of us will agree that was daylight robbery. And because of that, he was able to create an outstanding musical piece that has helped to create a genre of music, isicathamiya. And as you heard Minister Nathi Mthethwa relate that a number of other pieces of music genres have also originated from this, our land. And we as South Africans must be proud of this, because we have had great South Africans like Ubaba Solomon Linda, who created a song that has not only been played in great movies, but also has been played by a number of great stars internationally. And recently, we also had another song, Jerusalem, which spread around the world, which also saw many, many people around the world also dancing to it. So we've had great creations. We've had great composers like Ubaba Solomon Linda. So this month, and particularly on this day, we pay tribute to Ubaba Solomon Linda, but we also pay tribute to our artists, to our music artists, and many others who participate in many art forms, as well as poets, artists who draw pictures. This month, we say we honor you, we recognize you, we respect you, and we want you to succeed as our South African indigenous music artists. As the minister said, yes, we have had great difficulty in having occasions like this because of COVID. Much as COVID is not yet over, we're able to meet like this and showcase our cultures and celebrate Heritage Day, an important day in the life of our nation because it makes us remember the past, but it also makes us appreciate our diverseness, our cultures, our languages, our traditions, but it also enables us to look forward into the future. A future that at the moment, yes, is challenged by a number of things that are happening around the world, in our own country. Globally, we were gripped by the COVID-19 pandemic, a pandemic that killed well over 100,000 South Africans, a pandemic that is not yet over. It is still here with us, even though it is much less intensive than it was. Then we had the unrest of last year. Then we had loss of jobs. 2 million people lost their jobs, and the economy suffered greatly. And then we had the floods that devastated the livelihoods of many of our people. And then we also have had challenges of rising food prices, fuel prices, as a result of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that is having an impact on us. And now we are going through the throes of an energy crisis, a crisis that has been with us for many years, and a crisis that we continue to make all efforts to address. But in the recent 2 weeks, we have been seeing rising load shedding completely disrupting our lives, our economy, and causing havoc from a social point of view, health point of view, and these are the challenges that we face. Even as we face these challenges, as South Africans, as we have done in the past, we have persevered. And I ask once again, let us persevere. The challenge is being addressed. It's a complex one, and we will be speaking soon about the various measures that we are taking to make sure that we address this challenge. Today, we should look at ourselves. We should look at ourselves as a nation and look at ourselves through the prism, through the eyes of our cultures, of our traditions, and for a moment, be able to honor those who have so enriched our lives through what they do to bind this nation together, through song, through dance, through the arts. We know that our artists went through a very difficult time during COVID. And as Minister Mteta was saying, we made many efforts as well to support our artists, but we may not have spread the support as broadly and as widely as we should have. But where it was given, it was impactful. And we'd like to thank our artists for having stayed the course and for continuing to ensure that they don't only keep our people entertained, but they deepen the cultural heritage of our country. So today being Heritage Day, let us celebrate this day through expressing ourselves, through our clothing, our attire, through the indigenous food that we should enjoy, through also taking pride in our languages. Re bue dipuo tsa rona, re ikutlwe re le motlotlo ha re bua dipuo tsa rona, sikhulume amalimi ethu, siziqhenye ngokuthi yebo amalimi wethu asekhona, even though our past apartheid rulers tried to destroy our languages and also destroy our heritage. Hibula marimi aina, hitiba kuri hibanu, bala Afrika zonga. Richidi deba ure rineri vonyi, rebatu bafano Afrika Chipembe, rina mikhwa yashu, rina maitere ashu, rina ndira dzine raita zwithu zwashu ngayo. Heli noni duba ndi duba labu dinga manda karine rirote batu ba Afrika Chipembe ritele uri na haba batuku, the young ones in our nation, must see us celebrate our heritage, celebrate what has been handed to us by our forebears, knowing that, yes, we can preserve our cultures, we can preserve our languages, and we can preserve what has been handed down to us. I want to say to our artists as well, so that there is assurance that what happened to Ubaba Usolomon Linda should never happen again, because his descendants struggled a great deal to even get the benefits of his creativity. The new copyright amendment bill passed by the Parliament at the beginning of Heritage Month will go a long way in protecting our artists towards addressing their concerns about the collection and distribution of royalties. We are determined to use the law where necessary to preserve our cultural heritage. We will also defend and preserve our indigenous languages as well. We have paid specific attention to the Khoi and San languages. Today, we have candidates successfully submitting their master's dissertations and doctoral theses in African languages, irrespective of their field of study. This would not have been possible in the past. The incremental introduction of African languages policy in our schools is also having the desired impact, challenging the notion that knowledge of English is enough to progress in our society. We ought always to remind ourselves of the centrality of our heritage to the health of our nation's soul. While today we are shining the spotlight on our indigenous music and its legendary creators, our heritage is much more than just that. Our heritage is also the best version of ourselves that we seek to become. I am referring here, of course, to what also Professor Musoma spoke about, Ubuntu, which speaks of our innate spirit of generosity and human solidarity. It speaks of our compassion and kindness towards other people, especially those less fortunate and also those from foreign lands who have sought refuge here. As Minister Mteta was saying, we should respect ourselves first. We should look at ourselves with respect so that others can respect us. We are, as South Africans, a friendly and hospitable people, and it is inconsistent with our values to be xenophobic. I am proud that at many places of work, at schools and institutions, our brothers and sisters from other countries have joined the heritage celebrations. And as we heard from Nkosikazi Mhlawuli, there are many nations that are here today. People from various countries have joined us to be part of our celebrations. And as Africans, we are people with a shared history and a common destiny. Among the most important values that define us as a people is our utmost respect for women and the elderly. The historical position of women in our traditional communities is a far cry from the present-day toxic notions that many men have of masculinity and patriarchal relations of power. In their wisdom, our forebears attach great power to positions of women in our family structures, such as Rakhadi, Datuwabo, Makazi, and the like. There is no part of heritage of any South African community that permits men to demean women or impose their will on women through violence. On this day, when we celebrate our heritage, we must look deep within ourselves and return to the positive values of our communities. By restoring the values that we celebrate on Heritage Day, we will put an end to the culture of rape and the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide. We will care for our children as we must never abuse the young children who are the future of our country. We will value and cherish abantu abadala, bokuku, and give them the respect they have earned through many years of hard work, sacrifice, and guidance to us. Parents will once again take responsibility for all children in their community and not look away in the face when they misbehave. Some people may ask, how can we celebrate our heritage at a time like this when we are going through hardships? Yes, as I said, we are going through a challenging period. We are a nation with heritage that is defined by struggle, by courage, by perseverance, by a determination to overcome even the greatest challenge. And so let us call on this heritage as we confront the difficulties that confront our people and our nation. And I call on all of us to work together to implement all the various interventions that we need to implement. And in the end, let us fully embrace ourselves and one another. Let us embrace this rich tapestry of history and cultural heritage we have. For it is in our heritage that we have strength. Our heritage is our history. It is also our strength. To all South Africans, wherever you are, whatever you believe in, whatever language you speak, I say today, I wish you a very happy Heritage Day. Let us cherish this day. It is our day to respect our heritage, to embrace our heritage, to applaud our heritage, and more importantly, to embrace one another. And look at the person close to you and say, Happy Heritage Day. Thank you very much.
It went away, yeah. Well, that was
Well, a very good afternoon. If you've just joined us, we are obviously live from our Auckland Park studios. This is the Week in Review. It continues now on the back of President Cyril Ramaphosa just having addressed the nation. This is National Heritage Celebrations are underway at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. Now, the event celebrates South Africa's indigenous music and its immense contribution to sports, arts, culture, and even heritage. Again, the president, just speaking about, encouraging us to celebrate indigenous music, culture, and heritage, wishing the nation Happy Heritage Day. Perhaps also looking at the challenges that artists continue to face and promising to assist where a lot has been lagging. But we'll leave it there for now and obviously continue with more on the other side, where the Kariga community is having a Heritage Day event with the aim of showing the youth the value of preserving their traditional Xhosa culture. SABC News reporter Lerato Fikisi has more on the story.
What you see behind me are young girls who are part of a community development project that aims to teach young Xhosa girls the importance of their culture, the importance of good parents, and what it means for culture heritage. Above all, organizers say that they want to keep the young girls off the streets and make sure that by taking part in this dance, they are preserved from GBV, they are preserved from alcohol and drug abuse. They also kept away from prying old men and young boys who want to obviously get them into things of sexual intercourse. So what you see right now are young girls that are dancing. They meet weekly and they do this type of dance. It's a bit of taking off the street of drugs and alcohol, and this kind of dance also going to help them to know what they're talking about, which is taking what they're doing right now. preserve them and find out exactly why it's important for them to be part of this event. Like I said, it's about preserving the Xhosa culture, making sure that through dance they remember exactly who they are. Let me speak to some of them, find out exactly why they're here and why they think it's important for the culture. Hi, Sister Njani. Why do you think it's important to be part of the event so that you can be
It's because of I think sokugcina abantwana beqoqoshekile begcinile bahlale begcine izibaya zodata babo kubalekile mani kuba umntana bemphatha kakuhle.
When I say why do you think it's important abantwana abangamantombazana bafundiswe ukuxhensa bafunde ngesixhosa sabo bazi exactly babasuka?
Ingxaki mna ndiyathanda ubasapota kakhulu ngoba ndingomnye wabozingcayo ngenkcubeko yethu yesiXhosa yakwantu. So ke ngoku kufuneka thina singabantwana besiXhosa singalibali imvelaphi yethu apho sisuka khona, ngoba ngoku into endiyibonayo sesihambela kwezinye iintlanga sinxiba ezinye izinto ezezinye iintlanga. Namhlanje sivuselela inkcubeko yethu yobuXhosa khona ukuze singayilibali nesizukulwane esizayo ze sibone sizingce ngathi. Enkosi.
Wena sisi, why do you think it's important uba umntana aqonge inkcubeko yakhe basuka khona?
Ngoba kubalulekile ukuba umntana agcine isibaya sikatata wakhe nokuba iindoni zezona zinto zinqabileyo ebomini funeka uzigcine.
Those are some young girls that were speaking about the importance of preserving their culture, saying that, many of them saying that throughout the time they've seen many young girls forget where they come from, and such dances assist them to remember exactly where they come from. So I'm going to try, as I close the shot, to try to cater for you viewers. I'm going to show you exactly what the Xhosa culture are about. I'm going to try and mimic them, and you guys can rate me what you think.
Some lovely celebrations coming through from across the country. Again, you can interact with us on our various social media platforms, including using the hashtag The Week in Review or hashtag SABC News, and perhaps share how you are celebrating this glorious day for the country, perhaps something that obviously is not limited to this day alone. As we continue with heritage celebrations, though, and culture, we're going to turn our focus to issues of Ubutwasa and perhaps also Ubungoma, which now seem to have become a business. Back in the olden days, this practice was more sacred and was considered by some, in fact, as witchcraft. More and more people are taking on the spiritual journey because they are saying that it is a calling. But perhaps for more, we're going to weigh in on this conversation and have Professor Mai Hlati, President of the SADC Unified Ancestor Practitioners Association. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Thank you for joining us here on the SABC.
Thank you so much. Happy Heritage Day, Lizelle, and to all your viewers. I see people celebrating their heritage and the culture and tradition. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for being part of this conversation. It's one of the many ways we're paying homage to our heritage and obviously keeping the conversations flowing and looking at ways, you know, that we can continue to celebrate our heritage. So I actually want to delve into what your organization effectively does and what they've been doing to date. Perhaps you can contextualize and give us some background on that.
Thank you so much. This organization was born in 2009. And since it was born, what we have done to the communities, to the tribal authorities, to the SAPS, to young people, we have been educating people in traditional practitioners. What is the traditional healer? What is the traditional practitioner? What is a sangoma? What is the witchcraft? What is a herbalist? And also, what is the amagela? People who just like to be traditional healers and they don't have any calling, they were not called, they just decided to want to practice and they get herbs and muti and mix it, which they do very bad things to our sector. So we've had a lot of campaign in fighting against the ritual killings in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, in KZN, in Mozambique and Swaziland as well, because there were this thing that people used to say that a traditional healer if you want to make someone popular or want to make someone rich or famous, you must kill somebody or you must kill people who live with albinism. So this organization, we have been doing wonders. And you remember in 2012, we had a very big campaign at Kruger National Park when we discovered that a lot of people, criminals, when they go to Kruger National Park, they first consult some of traditional healers. They give them muti so they can jump into the Kruger National Park to poach rhinos. So we had a huge campaign, which it was very successful, and we educate people how to use herbs. Now, as a president of SADC Unified Ancestral Practitioners, I had a vision to build a university. Now, Lizelle and your viewers, I'm busy building a university of African medicine. So where we can teach anyone who wants to learn about herbs. Amatwasa, traditional healer who they don't understand these herbs, that they mess up the sect of traditional healer. In short, that is what we are doing as a SADC.
All right, thank you so much for giving us that context, Prof, because I actually want to now weigh in as we begin to embrace indigenous knowledge systems and really undo some of the learnings and even the laws that, undermine some of our cultural practices. How would you weigh in on the fact, that some of the view that this practice of ugutwasa or ubungoma has now become a business? We're seeing more and more young people and professionals also coming up and entering, taking up the calling. And I wonder how you would then weigh in on how it's also evolved and transformed over time.
That is unfortunately, Lizelle and your viewers. Last week we had a campaign here in Limpopo in November District, where I was addressing the traditional healers, addressing our Govela and the community as well, to say what is happening now, what we see it in Gauteng, in Mpumalanga, I think Pretoria and Johannesburg and KZN and Western and Eastern Cape. That is unfortunately, because you cannot take a young person, a child, a 9-year child, and then you say she or he must go and transfer. How is that possible? I know that young people might have a calling, but when a person, she is young or he is young, he's got a calling, you as a traditional practitioner, you as a govela, you need to guide the parent what they must do. They must just summon the ancestors, they make a small ceremony and talk to the ancestors to say, we accept that you want to use this child to become a traditional healer, but she is still young. Please give this child the time until she grow up or until he grow up. When the time is right, then he will go for practice. You remember, to become a traditional healer is not a joke. To become a traditional healer is something that is a lot of secret, it's a lot of privacy, a lot of things that you must go through it. Now, how is the child is going to do this? Here in Limpopo, we had a case that a young child, I think is 8 or 9 years old, she went for Utwasa. Now they were having a problem at the school. When she was at the school, that spirit comes out and then disrupts the whole class. Now I had to come in there to say, no, Govela, you are doing something very, very wrong. It's about money now. It's not about the calling, because anyone who's sick, anyone who's got a TB, HIV and AIDS, or whatever kind of sicknesses, in our days, when they go to traditional healer or to Govela to consult, that Govela, she or he might say, now, you got a calling, you must become a traditional healer. That particular person go for training. After training, that person is not healed. That person does not even practice. That's why you see a lot of people around all the towns, all the villages, moving around with the traditional healing regularly, but they are not practicing because they never had a calling. It's just about the traditional healers and Amagobela that they misdirect people. That is unfortunately, Lizelle and your listeners.
So how would you answer to some who are of the view or questioning rather whether the practice then is still sacred? With the coming out of more young people and even professionals, what role does education also play? Is enough being done?
You see, since 1995, when the government passed the Gazette in 1997, they passed the Gazette and the Constitution of Traditional Healing. Everybody came from all over Africa to come to South Africa. A lot of educators, a lot of nurses, a lot of professional people decided to leave their profession. They become traditional healers. They thought that they are coming for a lot of money in the healing sector. So this is unfortunate because it created a confusion to community, to people. They don't even see that the traditional healer, they have a respect anymore. healing, they have a secret anymore. But let me tell you, Lizelle and your listeners, we as traditional practitioners that were the calling some years ago, I've been practicing for 42 years, I still respect. I still have a secret. I still have a privacy. I still have and a lot of some of traditional healers, some of gobelas, they still follow that kind of guidance from our ancestors. We don't just practice because we want to do this. We don't just take someone to become Trasa when there's no need to do that. And we know what we do. And now, unfortunately, you can see in all the provinces, in all the towns, we have a strange doctors. We have a strange professors that all of a sudden, they want to do an abortion, they want to do all sort of things, magic things, which we as traditional practitioners, we don't do. So as an organization, we are busy trying to educate people. But we remember when someone is angry, we'll definitely do anything, even if this thing is wrong or is right, that particular person does not care. They will carry on doing these terrible things. Unfortunately, our government is also not helping us as a traditional healer sector. You remember, we're supposed to have an active in a committee that will control the traditional healing, that will have a register so that we register all traditional practitioners. So we know who is a traditional healer, who is a sangoma, who is a magetla, who is a herbalist, and who is not practicing properly. So those people must be removed. Those people who do wrong practice in our sector must be removed from the sector. But unfortunately, our government, the Department of Health, I don't think they are willing to do this properly because we have been having interim committee, I think for 15 years. Up until now, we don't have an existing committee.
Well, Prof, there's obviously lots more questions that I have for you, but for the interest of time, I'm going to have to leave the conversation there. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation as we, hone in on heritage celebrations, honoring our culture, perhaps understand where we're going. That was Professor Mbai Hlati from the SADC Unified Ancestor Practitioners Association, giving us an update, weighing in on the business of Ugutwasa and what it means in South Africa, in the world in 2022. Perhaps some of the practices and celebrations that and strides that have been taken, but also some of the challenges that they continue to face. We'll have to leave the conversation there and move on to another event that is taking place where EFF leader Julius Malema is currently addressing a political rally to mark Heritage Day. This is happening in KwaZulu-Natal. The purpose of the gathering is to demand land expropriation without compensation. Let's take you live there. Our reporter Mlondi Khadebe is also in attendance and will be crossing team as soon as we can get a hold of him as well.
Things have become worse in South Africa. Today, Asine Gesi, Eskom has collapsed because they've destroyed the whole of Eskom. Baibuleli Eskom, Ramaphosa, and Nokodan. Basebenza nabelungu bafuna uthatha iEskom yethu because they know that Ramaphosa got 1 billion in 2017 to be a president from white people. Bayayifuna imali yabo abelungu, bayayifuna uthatha imali abelungu, bayayifuna. Manje instead of giving them imali yabo, ubanikeza iEskom, ubanikeza iSAA, ubanikeza iDinel. All of state-owned enterprises have collapsed. The jobs are gone. When we say 1 million jobs are lost, you must know 7 million people are affected because one person who's working looks after a lot of people. And tomorrow, when the job is no more, you must know a lot of our people are in hunger. Why? This big nose called Ramaphosa in the office. Uchonchi mali, ayifaka kumadrasi, ayifaka kumasofa. Uyadla uRamaphosa. Mara our youth are eating nothing. Ramaphosa is sleeping on top of dollars. In Mkanyagute, we are sleeping on the floor. We don't even have bed. The most basic things, yet our president sleeps on top of dollars. Ibolile le ANC. From a councillor to the president, they are rotten. In 2024, as Funi Bona ANC, we want the EFF to take KwaZulu-Natal because it's only the EFF that will deliver a black child. So, comrades, we must never be proud. Comrade Speaker, please, we want the municipality to engage with Senegal that we want our water back. We want our water back because we cannot have a situation where the people of this area do not have access to water that is in the hands of one person. Speaker, create jobs for our people. We don't want to know whether they are IFP or they are EFF or they are ANC. All of them who qualify, let them work in the municipality through their qualification, not through their political affiliation. Comrades, siyalwa eParliament, silwa neCongolos. Sithi kuCongolos sifuna i-increase yama-child grant because le mali incane yama-child grant. We want more money for the child grant because 350 is too little. Ramaphosa's dogs don't eat 350 per day, not per month. Yet he's giving our children 350 per month. That is a lot of money. That's why we want these children to get more money so that politicians are left with nothing to steal. They steal this money because it's too much. We want child grant to go up. We want imali yabu gogo nabumkhulu nayo it must be increased because mawunikeza abu gogo nabumkhulu imali, you know very well that they are going to support the children of our own black brothers and sisters. Abu gogo abashaya imadayisi. Every day, mabatholi pension, bathenga inkungu. You are going to eat live chicken on the day of the pension. You know very well that if we give these gogos lot of money, SG, a lot of our children will never go hungry because they work for our children and for African poor families. All these houses you see standing in black communities is because of these old people who are looking after our own children. So the money that they are giving them is too little. We want more. And that's why we are in that parliament to fight for you to get more. Mabate, Talapanz Malema, Honorable Malema Talapanz Ngapagam. And Talapanz. One Talapanz for what? How do I go to parliament to Talapanzi? We are in parliament to Kuluma, not to Talapanzi. Let's kokela for Kuluma. That's our job. Talapanzi Malema, point of order. And Talapanzi. What is the problem, Mr. Malema? The children of Mkanyakute, they are sleeping without food, waking up the following morning to go to school with an empty stomach. How can they concentrate? There is high level of crime here. People are stealing cars, people are stealing cows. The police are not enough. We want more police stations, we want more police, we want police visibility, and we want more money for the police. Because lama police abadila nga stolen money. Mabafika bathola ibag igcwele ama million. Bathi hayi phoyisa bambala 500,000. Uzayithatha. Because they are paying them nothing. Police must be paid a bonus once they've arrested the most wanted criminal. Once that case is successful and that criminal is convicted and sentenced for a long time, that investigating officer must get another bonus that he did a proper investigation. So that police, when they do their job, they do it very well without taking a bribe because we are paying them. Today, the police, you just mentioned Coke, they smile. The only thing they know is to shoot our people who are toiling for water and electricity. And that time, the policeman who's shooting at people who are demanding for water, the mother stays with us there. We are demanding water for the mother of a policeman who's shooting at us. We need police service, not the police who defend the corrupt government against the people of South Africa. So we want to make sure that these police are transformed and they are police of conscience, and they understand that the people are not the enemy. The enemy is those who turned against the people. Let the police turn their guns on Ramaphosa and demand those dollars that Ramaphosa has stolen in South Africa. No politician who's corrupt must be protected by the police. That's why in China, once a politician is found guilty of corruption, they kill that politician. When you are a speaker of a municipality and they arrest you for corruption, they take you to prison. The next speaker, they take that speaker with his family, children, wife or husband, to go and see the former speaker in prison. And they say, this guy is the one who was holding the position your father is holding or your mother is holding. If your mother steals this money, he's going to come here. So that anti-corruption starts at home. When you want to buy a BMW, it must be your children who say, Mama, where do you get the money? Are you qualified? We don't want you to get arrested. We need to fight corruption from our own houses straight into public office. Fighters, South Africa has become a war zone against women and children. I once heard a terrible story here in KZN where young men went to rape ugogo, an old woman being raped by young men who have become a sick society. Men, we must have a conversation with ourselves. The way the chairperson was asking you to stand up and say, Bayete, you must stand up on your own alone and ask yourself, what type of a man are you who beats up a woman to death? Mom Shalom Faz, she's not running away. She keeps on coming to you and hugging you. So sorry, I'm sorry. She's not fighting. She's coming to you because she knows this, my protection must come from here. I can't go anywhere except coming to this man. Instead of being ashamed, you beat her more and beat her to death. And more when you are around, walking the street, uting indoda mina. Indoda ishaba faz. Is Schumann. As phone is Schumann, it's phone my daughter. And our daughter are the men who don't rape, are the men who don't beat up women, are the men who don't beat up children. Women don't need protection from men. Stop saying, let's protect women. They don't need protection. Just stop beating them up. there won't be a need for protection. You are beating them up and coming on the other side and say, let's protect them. It can't be. Let KZN be the first province to stand up and say, enough is enough. This war against women must come to an end. We don't want to hear the killing of women. We don't want to hear the raping of women. We have become the capital of rape in the whole world. In the past, when you go to America or Britain or Venezuela or Cuba and you say, I come from South Africa, they say, oh, Nelson Mandela, Nelson Mandela. Now when you say, I'm from South Africa, but yo, rape. A rapist, let's protect our children because this one can rape our children. You rape, including raping your own children. We must have a conversation on our own as men and say, enough is enough. No one is going to do it in our name as men. When you see a man dragging a woman, when you see a man beating up a woman, when you see a man raping a woman, you don't need a permission of that woman to stop and say, don't do that, not in our name as men. Because they are not going to say Julius Malema. They say men of South Africa. They include us because of your own mess. So let's protect women because these men are embarrassing us. Comrades, we in the EFF this year, we are going to our conference here in KwaZulu-Natal. Our conference is called Provincial People's Assembly. Fighters, we want maximum discipline. We want you to build strong branches. We want those who contest to be leaders to do so in a responsible manner, not in an ANC manner where you fight for positions. In the EFF, we don't fight for positions, we fight for our people. If you want to fight for a position, try next door. It's called ANC. That's where they even kill each other when they go to conference. So, Commissar Fosi, we don't want to hear that a fighter was killed in KwaZulu-Natal because they were going to a conference. Let us be exemplary that black people can meet in a conference, start the business on time, and finish the business on time without chairs flying, without a drop of blood. But resolutions that are going to better the lives of our people. We are not in it for ourselves. We are in it for our people. When you look at the council and you say, oh, Mkanyagute, as long as there is a red beret there, you must be happy. Not you, self-seeking, wanting to be a leader at all costs. Comrades, we marched to ESCOM. We are the only organization in South Africa that marched to ESCOM. When we marched to ESCOM, South Africans on Twitter did a hashtag and said, Futsek EFF. That they said, Futsek EFF. Then they said, we are causing traffic in Sandton. When we were fighting for them in 2020, before things became worse as they are, we warned you, South Africa, about Pravin Gordhan. And you said, we don't love Pravin Gordhan because he's an Indian. Today, let your Indian give you electricity. Because we told you that Pravin is part of a problem and is going to sell the whole of South Africa. Comrades, there was a proposal in ESCOM that they must take completely the electricity blackout until they fixed the old stations. They wanted to take the whole South Africa into darkness. Not this thing of 4 hours to wire, no electricity. We are going to become like Nigeria if we don't stand up and do something about it. Electricity is the economy. Electricity is education. Electricity is health. Everything relies on electricity. Today, children in high care and ICU in hospitals, they are dying in numbers because of load shedding. We want you, South Africa, in 2020, and you said Futsek EFF. We tell you all the time, you keep on saying Futsek EFF. That's why today you are in darkness. If in 2020 you could have said, yes, EFF, we are with you. Let us remove this CEO. Let us remove COO. Let's remove Ramaphosa. Let's remove Pravin. Things were going to be better today. Why? The EFF has got a giraffe view. We see things as they come. We are not prophets. We tell you that here comes a problem. And most of you, you say, when we tell you the truth, you say we are disrespectful. ESCOM has collapsed. You don't have water, you don't have electricity, you don't have a job. The food is very expensive. Today, you can't buy a fish oil. The most basic thing called fish oil is extremely expensive. Petrol is too high. The taxis are going up. The bus fares are going up. There is nothing that is not abnormal under Ramaphosa. But they are going to a conference. But I pinned Ramaphosa abuye second term. No problem. They can make him second term Lago Congolos. Not in South Africa. South Africa is not ANC. How can an unemployed graduate, a normal person, sit in a meeting and raise a hand and say, I second Ramaphosa for the second term? What type of stupidity is that? We are Tagata Ramaphosa, straight. So, comrades, we want Ramaphosa removed from office. We don't want Cyril as a president of this country again because of what happened in Phala and the issues I was talking about. He is not fit to become a president. We fought with Zuma, but ESCOM was working. We fought with Zuma, but Dinel was working. We fought with Zuma, but there was SAA were able to fly to Durban. Today's Hamangama train because this person with a big nose, he has swallowed everything. So, when we call for national shutdown, the whole of Mukanyakute must come to a standstill. No school, no work, no shop, nothing must move. And we must say we demand the resignation of Ramaphosa with immediate effect because we need a better president for South Africa. Comrade, I'm very happy to see President Wepudemo from Eswatini. Look, comrade, they bombed his house few days ago because now he's fighting for the rights of the people of Swaziland. They thought he was inside the house. The police went to bomb his house. This comrade who was talking to you here, they wanted to kill him. They want to kill him in Swaziland, not because he killed anyone, but because he said, let the will of the people be respected. Let the king of Swaziland be like the king of Amazulu nation. Zulu is not choosing government of KwaZulu-Natal. He's choosing his traditional council. The government of KwaZulu-Natal is chosen by the people of KwaZulu-Natal. We want the same thing in Swaziland. Why? We cannot enjoy freedom if there is no freedom in Swaziland. We cannot be happy if the people of Swaziland live in fear. So we are with them. They are us. They are Dlaminis in Swaziland. They are Dlaminis here in KwaZulu-Natal. Yet someone stand up and say, hey, asafuna machangan. Mara la kumkhanya kude, you are on the border of Mozambique. You've got people from Mozambique and people from here in KwaZulu-Natal. Africa is one. We must fight for the unity of the African people. We must never say, hey, Heritage Day, but I don't want Zimbabweans. When during the coronation of our king here in KwaZulu-Natal, there were Zulus from Malawi. Yet when you stand up, Malawi. But it's a Zulu, that person, because you don't know your history. That time, utokile, amapesho, utu you are the warriors. Yeah, you are Ilibutu. You are fighting another Libuto from Malawi. You don't know because you just heard he's from Malawi. Here in South Africa, there is Mpofu. In the Eastern Cape, there is Mpofu. In Zimbabwe. So which Mpofu are you going to chase away? Because you go around saying you don't want Zimbabweans. Hey, they take your jobs. They take your jobs from who? Who's the owner of the job? A white man. You are fighting to work for a white man? That's what you are fighting about. No, I will be a better servant of a white man. In the EFF, we are not servants of the white man. We are the owners of the land of South Africa, and the white man must work for us. We don't fight for jobs. Jobs comes automatically when you own. We want to give you the land so that you stop saying, hey, it's Funim Sevens, I open saloon, you've got a land here. Run your saloon. Run your tailoring business. Do whatever you want to do. You've got the land. So let us not allow anyone to divide black people. Love yourself as a black person. Look at yourself on the mirror and see a Zimbabwean and see a Nigerian and see an African, so that tomorrow when you see a person from Zimbabwe, you know this is my brother, this is my sister. Their struggles is our struggle. We will win it together. They say, no, Malema says these Zimbabweans must come here, these Mozambicans must come here. We are not going to vote for him. Because I must go to Bed Bridge in Musina to go and stop a mother who's carrying a sick child, jumping a fence, saying, I'm needed clinic in Musina, my child is sick. Go back, you are a Zimbabwean. I am a father of 3 children. I know how it feels to see your child sick. Sometimes you even feel like taking that pain from your child and carry it yourself. With that conscience, I will never stop a mother who wants to be helped in South Africa with a sick child. What is illegal about saving life? We must love life. And when we love life, we will save it. We must love ourselves. Black people are hated everywhere. You go to America, you go to Britain, you go to Europe, everywhere. When they see a black person, they see a reject. How can we be hated all over and still be hated at home, where we're supposed to love one another and struggle together and hold each other's hand and say to those who are suffering, we suffered like you. One day you will get your freedom. And when you get your freedom, we will rejoice together. Fighters, let us defend the unity of Africa. Kwame Nkrumah fought for this unity. Julius Nyerere fought for this unity. Gaddafi fought for this unity. Robert Sobukwe, Steve Biko, Winnie Mandela, Chris Hani fought for this unity. Robert Mugabe fought for this unity. Why must we be divided as Africans? If Africa comes with new currency, that currency, we use it all over Africa, it will be more powerful than the dollar. Why? We've got more minerals than they have. We can have a currency that is based, its strength is based on our minerals. In London, where they just buried their old woman, there is too much gold. Yet in London there is no mine of gold, not a single mine of gold. This woman that Ramaphosa went to bury, running around like he's going to bury his mother to Britain, was wearing on her head diamonds that are worth 440 million US dollars. Those diamonds are from here, not in Africa, from South Africa. If we take those diamonds back and convert that $440 million into rands, how much can we make from the stolen diamond that was on the head of this woman they just buried, and they say we must celebrate her? Ramaphosa left here running. Ungathi umama akhe ushonile aya eLondon bamufaka ebusing. Barengena ebusing, bloody fool, hak. But other leaders bangena ngemoto zabo lo bathi agibele ebhasi because uyaphapha. Ayakwini Ramaphosa, I was supposed to stay here at home. What's about? I've been looking for that picture of Ramaphosa in a bus so that we can distribute it everywhere. And some papa about recognize him as a leader. That's why about fake passing. So, comrades, London, America, Europe, all of the colonizers must never make us fight each other. We must love one another as one nation, as one continent, because Africa, in fact, is not a continent, it's a country. We used to travel without limits before these borders. And let's go back there where we love one another. Unity will produce the most powerful Africa that is equal to Russia. The way they are scared of Russia, they must be scared of us. But now they are treating us like a subcontinent. The people of Mkanyagute and the leadership, we want to really thank you very much for coming out in your numbers to show the whole of South Africa that EFF is in every corner of Africa. There is no way in the whole of South Africa where you can go and not find the EFF. We want to thank you because in the last elections, 2021, you gave us 10 councillors. We had 6, now we've got 10. We are the only organization that is growing in KwaZulu-Natal and in the whole of South Africa. Don't be in a hurry. Kancane kancane. Sesofika. As long as we are growing, as long as we are not losing one vote, if we add one vote, it's +1. Therefore, all of you, leaders and members and ground forces of the EFF, let us go and reach the target of 1 million before December, because we must be the biggest political party in South Africa, so that 2024, we've got 1 million foot soldiers. When we make a call from Winnie Mandela House, the whole of Mkanyagute must shake because there is a strong EFF in Mkanyagute. Anyone who wants to divide the EFF in Mkanyagute, we are asking you, just look at that beret. Before you fight each other, look at that beret, and you must ask the young child who's 10 years old, who's 8 years old, when you grow up, which party are you going to vote for? They always say the EFF. Before you destroy it, when they see that beret, those young children who are staying in the shacks, who are sleeping without food, they see hope in that beret. When you destroy the EFF, you are destroying a hope of that 10-year-old child who said, when I grow up, I want to vote for EFF. By the time he turns or she turns 18, there will be no more EFF because you destroyed it. The poor of the poorest, when they see that beret, they see the hope of the hopeless. These gogos here and all these old men who are here, it's not because they are bored. They could be at home doing other things at home, but they came here. Why? They said our children cannot be alone when we are around. We are going to support them, and we are going to support them physically. Do not destroy the hopes of these old people. They had a lot of hope in the ANC of Nelson Mandela. Now Nelson Mandela is no more. He died with that ANC that they respected. When they see you, they see the new Nelson Mandelas, and do not disappoint them. Look at their faces before you engage in internal fights for positions, and say, for the sake of these old people, for the sake of children who are going to bed without food, I will never engage in a factional struggle to destroy the EFF. I will build the EFF to be a vanguard party that will fight for our people. Comrades, do not get tired. It will not be easy. Others are going to fall on the way, but we must die with our boots on. We must never be shaken. Not even death must shake us. No amount of intimidation must shake us. No amounts of stress must shake us. No one should say you will not get a job and you get scared. Do not be scared. We are building a party of the poor, of the poorest. And when you get tired, look at where we were in 2016 with 6 councillors, and in 2021 with 10 councillors, and tell yourself that we are making progress. Do not allow others to judge the EFF on your behalf. You are the soldiers of the EFF. You are the EFF. When they say the EFF is failing, they are referring to you because you are not doing your job. Fighter, when we live here, every household, every street, every hostel, brick by brick, the floor of shops, everybody who works there must be recruited into the EFF. You must go asking them, why are you remaining behind? The unstoppable red train is moving, and no one will ever stop this red train. No one, not even Ramaphosa, can stop this. By Sabagabi, they know very well that this is a fighting machine of the poor, of the poorest. Fighters, go on. This tent is too small. That's why many others are standing outside, and the sun is too hot, the tent is too hot, but people came out in their numbers. Why? They trust you, EFF. Do not disappoint those people who are standing on the sun outside and saying, this is where our hope will come from. We wish you all of the best, and then let us continue to fight. Freedom is coming tomorrow in the name of economic freedom in our lifetime. Amandla! Amandla! Viva EFF, viva! Viva EFF, viva! Haunoma kubi Siaya Siaya Noma kubi Siaya Siaya Noma besithubola besishaya besibopha noma besithubola besishaya